You want to beat Cataclysm, one of the most well-known extreme demons of all time. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can beat it. Now, you should know that Cataclysm is a very front-heavy level, so the first part of it is a lot harder than the back half. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the practice run so I can show you exactly how you can beat it. This first part is very easy. The only thing that you should know is that you have to hit this blue orb very late in order to get the coin. On top of that, you also have to jump into the wave portal or you will just die to the block. Once you pass the first part, all you need to do is wave in between those two spikes and then do a 4, 2, 3 pattern. Once you've passed that section, you are on to the hardest part of the level. Once you get past this, it's pretty much smooth sailing. For this part right here, you're going to need to develop your own click pattern. There's not really a specific way to do this part, and for me, I really just got lucky when I beat it. This is by far the hardest part, and if you can get this consistently, then you'll be beating Cataclysm in no time. Now that you've passed the hardest part of the level, it's pretty much smooth sailing from here. You'll notice that my attempt counter has gone up a little bit from trying to get that stupid run. Anyways, all you need to do in that auto section is hit that pink orb. There can be a bug that happens sometimes, but don't get too discouraged by it. Anyways, this next part is a ship part that looks a lot harder than it actually is. It requires some minimal ship control with some knowledge of what the portals are, but they're pretty intuitive once you've done it once or twice. Now, once you pass this ship, you're onto this wave. It's a lot easier than the other wave, and pretty much if you're in an open area, you just spam. There is one specific spot where you're supposed to do like a double click, but you'll see me do it, and it's really not that hard. Once you've passed this wave, you're going to want to click here so that you dodge these spikes, and then go reverse, and then you're going to click here, and then on this blue orb down here so that you hit this blue orb here. After you've hit this blue orb, you click here and then click this pink orb. And then you wait until you've gone upside down and hit this blue orb. You want to hit it early, otherwise your alignment will get messed up here. Once you've passed this click, you're going to want to do multiple clicks in quick succession. These are pretty much as fast as you can click, because if you don't click fast enough, then you'll end up dying to this spike or this spike. Once you've passed that, you have a couple slow ball timings, but that's a lot easier than the previous section. Now, you should be wary of this speed portal, as it can get you sometimes if you're not careful. Once you've passed that, you hit this yellow orb right here, click twice, and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to this speed portal because this can kill you as well. Once you've gotten to this UFO section, you want to click in this yellow ring, then on this pink orb, and then on this pink orb as well. Then you want to hit in this UFO portal, which will send you into a yellow pad over here. And then you want to do a double click in this blue orb, and then you want to do a single click and then a single click, and then you will be in the ship section. Now for this ship section, you're going to want to create a click pattern. If you don't create a click pattern, it's going to be a lot more inconsistent. As long as you have a click pattern, however, this ship is going to get pretty easy and pretty consistent. The click pattern I do is 3 clicks in this big ship, and then 4 clicks in this ship. Then as soon as you get to the yellow orbs, you just click and hold those, and then you'll be in the cube section. Now once you're in this cube section, there's a couple ways to do it. First, you need to click late here. Then, the intended way to do this is to hit this yellow orb. However, if you press here and hold, you don't actually have to click this yellow orb. That way, I'm pretty sure is a little bit less consistent than the yellow orb, but I actually found it to be more consistent than hitting the yellow orb. From there, all you have to do is hit this pink orb and then a blue orb, and you will be sent into this little structure here, which you will pass through. Then once you're here, you're going to buffer this so that you jump off the edge of this block, hit this blue orb, and then there should be another blue orb that you have to hit, which you cannot see right now. This is the blue orb that is off screen, and yes, it is a blind timing and it kind of sucks, but it's also a double click, which means that you have to hit this pink orb, and then you have to hit this blue orb after you do that as like a micro click so that you stay on these blocks. You don't want to hold that click, otherwise you'll go straight into these spikes right here. Once you have reached this section, you're going to want to hit this blue orb, and then there are multiple ways you can do this part from there. You can either click on the edge of this block and hit nothing so that you land on this block and then fall onto this blue orb. Your other option is to click on this block then hold this blue orb so that you jump off of this, and then click this blue orb, but do not hold so that you land on this and then fall down. The third option is to click 1, 2, 3, and then 4 times very quickly. I would recommend clicking either 4 times or clicking on the edge of this block. I personally did the method where you click on the edge of the block because my CPS wasn't very good back then. If your CPS is good, however, I would recommend clicking 4 times quickly. From there, there's 2 ways you can hit this orb as well. You can either buffer it so that you hit this blue orb early, but you have to hold so that you jump on this corner immediately and then hit this yellow pad. The other option is to hit this extremely late so that you just hit the edge of this blue pad and then hit this yellow pad immediately. If you click any time in the middle, however, you will land right here where you cannot jump to get to the yellow pad, or you will not land on the yellow pad. The best option here would be to buffer this orb because it's a little bit of a blind timing, not really, but it's close. And if you buffer, it's pretty much a free click, and then you get to hold there as well. Once you've hit this, then you're going to want to jump here and then click this orb without holding so that you fall to this blue orb, to which you buffer and hold. Congratulations, you have now made it to the easy part of Cataclysm. This ball part looks a lot harder than it is because it's memory, but it's pretty easy once you figure out what's going on. So for this first part, you're going to want to click either early, slightly early, or in the middle of these orange triangles to avoid these invisible spikes. Then you're going to want to click right about here and buffer so that you land on this structure and click immediately. If you don't buffer, you're going to have to deal with these 2 spikes that are right here and right here. But if you buffer, you don't have to deal with them. Then you will hit this pad, and then you want to time this pink orb, because if you buffer it, you will sometimes die to the spike that's right here. Then you're going to want to just click pretty much anywhere here so that you land on this structure here. And then you want to buffer as you fall off this. And then you want to buffer again as you fall off this. And then there will be a structure right here that lights up that you want to click, and then buffer this blue orb so that you go right here. There is a spike in that, so you will die if you don't buffer. Once you've buffered this blue orb, then you will be upside down on this structure right here, and you can hit it at any time to fall onto this platform. You don't have to click it late, you won't die. You're going to want to hit this structure so that you land on this yellow orb, and then hit this blue orb, and then you're going to want to click right about here so that you land on this structure here. Then once you've landed on this structure, you're going to just let yourself fall. You don't have to do any extra clicks or anything like that, you just fall. There will be a structure here that you land on, and then you hit this blue pad. And then you hit 1, 2, 3 blue orbs, and then you will go into this UFO section. Once you're here, you're going to want to click once late in this UFO portal, and then once on this pink orb, and then once on this blue orb. Something to note is that depending on how you hit these blue orbs, you may not be able to hit this pink orb and survive. When you're practicing this, just make sure you find a way that's consistent for you. It's pretty rare that you'll ever die to this, but if you're not careful, you can end up creating some bad habits. Then, once you've gotten to this ball portal right here, you're going to click once here and then once here. These clicks are faster than the previous ones, so don't let yourself get into a rhythm. And then you're going to click this yellow orb pretty much at whatever pace you want, it doesn't really matter. And then you release so that you land on this platform, and then you get boosted by this yellow pad, and then you click twice after you've entered this blue portal. Then you'll be sent into another memory part, and you just have to click on the edge of this block right here so that you land inside this pillar right here. Once you're there, you just let yourself fall onto this yellow pad, and you'll be sent into this ball portal, and then you'll make it to these blue pads here. If you don't do it this way, you won't actually end up getting enough height to make it all the way to these blue pads. Then once you're here, all you have to do is not click this pink orb, and then click early here so that you fall onto the block right here, and then fall into this portal. From there, you probably have the hardest section of the ending, but once again, it's still much easier than the rest of the level. You are on the last hard part of Cataclysm. This part does kind of suck because it starts off as mirrored ship, but it gets pretty easy as you get a little bit better. For these monsters, I pretty much just like to straight fly through them. You really don't have to bother following the shape of the monsters, as the straight flies really aren't that tight. Once you've gotten to this mini portal, however, it's going to get a little bit more difficult, and you need to fly here and then fall here. There's multiple ways that you can do this. You can either fall on this block and do like a little hop as a ship to this block and then click there. I don't recommend doing that method. I always just kind of flew down like this and then flew up. Most people probably hit the block if I were to assume, but I would say that just flying through it's honestly kind of easier. From here, you're going to want to fly up here so that you can fall down. If you don't fly up a little bit, you won't have enough vertical movement to get all the way down. Once you enter this dual portal, you're going to need to let your icons fall all the way down so that they're aligned, and then you want to go inside this structure here. This is where the coin is, and it is about 9 gajillion times easier than actually doing the normal path. Then once you're here, I like to align my ships right in the middle so that they line up with each other and I fly straight through this. One thing to note about dual portal ship is that it's a little bit heavier than your standard ship. For this part, all you're going to need to do is a little bit of a curved straight fly, but there's a really big gap here, so it's pretty hard to die. Something to note is that your ships can get misaligned sometimes, so you might hit the bottom here with this or the top here with this, but that's pretty rare. And for the most part, as long as you stay in the middle, you're not gonna die. Then once you hit this blue portal, you're going to want to hold to get up here, and then you have to do a short straight fly through this structure right here. You have now made it to the wave and possibly the easiest part of this level. I don't even really think that I need to tell you what to do here because it's really that easy. Once you've made it to this robot, you've practically beat the level. All you need to do is hit these orbs at any timing, and then you can either buffer this blue orb and then buffer this pink orb if you want to do it the normal way, or you can hit this blue orb late and skip this pink orb so that you collect this coin that's right here. Congratulations, you just beat Cataclysm. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps as you try to beat Cataclysm. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like and subscribe, as I'm going to make guides on every extreme demon that I beat. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. See ya!